Today, we're going to talk about a concept that might just change how you see yourself. It's called traumatic intelligence. And we're not going to frame it as a disorder, but as your mind's absolute survival masterpiece. So let me just start with a question. Has anyone ever told you that you're just too much? Or maybe you've labeled yourself a chronic overthinker. You're too sensitive, too anxious. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, then you're definitely in the right place. Because what if that's not the real story? What if all that stuff you call overthinking is actually something else? Something powerful, a highly developed skill called traumatic intelligence. The idea here isn't that your brain is broken or misfiring, it's that it has fundamentally rewired itself to process the world in a different way. And that leads us right into our first section, really understanding this as a different kind of smart. This isn't about acing tests. It's about a deep, intuitive intelligence that was forged in really tough times. Think about it like this. This isn't a skill you pick up in a classroom. Nope, it's something that develops more like scar tissue, slowly, painfully, and because you absolutely had to. It's an adaptation, you know? It's proof of just how incredible your mind is at surviving. So what does this actually look like day to day? Let's dive into the first set of signs. And these are all about being able to see and feel the invisible social world that's all around us. Okay, sign number one, you read rooms like headlines. You know what I mean? You walk into a new space and bam, within seconds, your brain has already scanned everything. You can feel that unspoken tension between two people across the room. You spot the person whose smile is just a little too tight. It's like an instant download of social data. And there's a real psychological reason for this. It's rooted in something called hypervigilance. It's a survival mechanism, really. Your brain's little alarm system, the amygdala, gets fine-tuned to pick up on both potential danger and tiny social details, all at the same time. And this leads right to another sign. This ability to read people with an accuracy that can almost feel unfair. You're not just guessing. You're processing all these little details that most people's brains just filter out as background noise. So, what kind of stuff is this super perceptive brain picking up on? Well, we're talking about those split-second micro-expressions, tiny shifts in how someone holds their shoulders, little changes in their vocal tone, or that classic tell, right? The smile that never quite makes it to their eyes. What someone else might just get a vague feeling about, you see as cold, hard data. Now, having this kind of perception naturally builds into our next area, which is all about navigating chaos. This is about how this intelligence really shapes how you respond when things get unstable or hit crisis mode. Now, this might sound a little backward, but a huge sign is that you actually get quieter in a crisis, not louder. When everyone else is starting to freak out, something inside you gets weirdly calm and focused. It's because on some level, your nervous system has been here before. It knows how to find its footing in the middle of a storm. Another sign is having a really high tolerance for ambiguity. See, most people need things to be simple, black and white, good guys and bad guys. But you're comfortable living in the gray areas. You can accept that two totally opposite things can be true at the exact same time, and you don't feel that rush to find a simple answer. And ambiguity tolerance, it isn't about being indecisive. It's this deep capacity to hold complexity. It's understanding that the world can be beautiful and brutal in the same exact breath. Or, and this is a big one, that someone can love you and still hurt you. Being able to hold all that complexity, well, that brings us to the next piece of this. It's about the very elaborate inner world this intelligence creates. Let's call it the mind's inner narrator. Have you ever just known something was off? Like in a relationship or a job, long before you had any logical proof? That's a huge part of this. Your nervous system feels and understands patterns way before your logical, thinking brain can put words to it. It's a different kind of knowing. It comes from deep inside. And then there's the inner narrator. It's like you've got the second track running in your head all the time, just analyzing your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own actions. You could be in the middle of a conversation, and part of your brain is watching you have the conversation, analyzing how it's going. It can be absolutely exhausting for sure, but it's also a sign of a really deep, reflective mind. You know, there's actually a psychological term for this: metacognition. Basically, thinking about your thinking. And get this, far from being a flaw, it's often a documented outcome of post-traumatic growth. It actually leads to a more complex inner life and a greater sense of depth. Okay, now we need to talk about what might be the hardest, most frustrating part of this whole experience. It's this gap. The gap that can exist between knowing all this stuff about yourself and actually being able to heal. The gap between knowing versus healing. And this might be the most quietly devastating sign of all. You are so self-aware. I mean, exhaustingly so. You can name your patterns, you can trace them all the way back to their roots, you can explain it perfectly to your therapist, and then you just watch yourself do it all over again. And if that's you, I really need you to hear that you are not alone in that feeling. So why? Why does that gap exist? It's because knowing is an intellectual thing. It happens in your head. You can name the patterns, you can see the logic. But healing is experiential. It happens in your body. It happens when your brain gets updated with new, safe experiences over and over, and your body slowly learns it doesn't have to be on high alert anymore. Insight is powerful, but it's just not enough to do that rewiring on its own. So where does that leave us? How are we supposed to hold all of this? Well, that brings us to our final section, and a final, powerful way to reframe this whole thing, seeing your mind as a survival masterpiece. I really want you to let this next part sink in. If any of this has resonated with you, hear me on this. You are not behind in life. You're not broken. You're not someone who just scraped by. That story, the one that says you're flawed because of what you went through, it's just not the whole truth. The real truth is, you went somewhere, emotionally, that very few people ever have to go. You had to navigate unbelievable chaos and complexity. And in that process, your mind built something truly remarkable. You didn't just survive, you adapted, you learned, and you found out exactly what you were made of. And that is a kind of intelligence that deserves to be recognized.